There's a lot of discussion going on about the development of natural gas, whether it can be done safely and responsibly. At ExxonMobil, we know the answer is yes.
In tiny Dimmock, Pennsylvania, there is trouble just below the surface.
Spent Christmas Day looking for water, New Year's Day looking for water, this past Sunday looking for water.
When we design any well, the groundwater is protected by multiple layers of steel and cement. Most wells are over 1.5 miles deep, so there's a tremendous amount of protective rock between the fracking operation and the groundwater. Natural gas is critical to our future.
Methane in some of the water wells, enough for ignition at the tap.
One of my good friends is Mike Leavitt, who was the EPA administrator under George W. Bush. And I've asked some of the oil and gas company executives, what was it like under Mike Leavitt? And they said it was a whole lot better than it is today.
I interviewed Bush in 1999-2000. He made it very clear as a candidate that one thing he wanted to do was relax regulatory oversight.
On his oil patch buddies.
I think the EPA and those extreme voices in the environmental community and in the president's own party are just frustrated beyond belief that the states have the regulatory authority over fracking. And right now, I guess something close to 70% of the oil wells in this country have been fracked. So the states have been managing this, managed it well.
When you allow the company you're supposedly regulating to pencil in the inspection report that you then cover over in ink, that's corruption.
Sure it is.
Deepwater Horizon oil rig blew up in the Gulf of Mexico off Louisiana. 11 workers were killed, and it caused the largest accidental oil spill in history. 200 million gallons of crude gushed out of the BP well before it was capped nearly 3 months later.
BP has set aside $20 billion to fund economic and environmental recovery. We're paying for all spill-related cleanup costs. And we've established a $500 million fund so independent scientists can study the Gulf's wildlife and environment for 10 years.
Some victims of the BP oil spill say they're on the verge of losing everything 15 months after the disaster. While there's been some compensation for their losses, some business owners say it is still not enough.
Troy Frady runs a charter fishing boat off the Alabama Gulf Coast. Since the oil spill, he's been worried about some of the red snapper he's catching.
1 to 2% of the fish had these huge lesions on them and fin rot, and we've never seen that before.
2 years later, the oil is still here in some parts of these marshlands. You can actually see it in places in these tar patches, and in other areas the ground is so saturated you can actually see the oil bubbling up from the ground.
I was born here. I'm still here, and so is BP. We're committed to the Gulf, for everyone who loves it and everyone who calls it home.